Hello student, welcome to our YouTube online channel. We have studying the first lesson of your science called motion. So आज हम मोशन का लास्ट वीडियो शूट कर रहे हैं. मोशन में अभी तक हमने कंप्लीट कर चुका है डिफरेंट लॉज ऑफ न्यूटन, मोशन के काइनेमेटिक इक्वेशन और न्यूटन का फर्स्ट और सेकेंड लॉ भी हमने कंप्लीट कर चुका है. आज हम पढ़ेंगे थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन, then we will understand what is the conservation of momentum and last हम पढ़ेंगे what is recoil. Okay, so first हम पढ़ने वाले हैं आज थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन. थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन. देन सेकेंड पार्ट हम पढ़ने वाले हैं इसके बाद, वो है लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मोमेंटम. और लास्ट में हम पढ़ने वाले हैं व्हाट इज रिकॉइल. हमने we have completed what is momentum and its derivation in our previous video. Okay, so we will understand what is the third law of Newton first. So the third law of Newton states that any force have equal and opposite force, or we can say the third law of Newton states that every action force have equal and opposite reaction force. Suppose I am going to pull this wall in the back side, but ये wall के ऊपर जो मैं force act कर रहा हूँ that is the acting force, that is the driving force. एक्टिंग या ड्राइविंग फोर्स हम कहते हैं. बट द बोर्ड और दिस वॉल इज एक्टिंग द सेम इक्वल एंड अपोजिट फोर्स टुवर्ड्स मी. ओके, सिर्फ दिस इज वन ऑब्जेक्ट, दिस इज अनदर ऑब्जेक्ट. इफ आई एम पुशिंग, आई एम गोइंग टू अप्लाई दिस फोर्स ऑन दिस ऑब्जेक्ट, देन दिस फोर्स विल मूव टुवर्ड्स दैट डायरेक्शन. बट इफ यू विल हिट दिस हैंड हियर, सो ये इसने जो फोर्स इस हैंड के ऊपर लगाया विच इज एक्टिंग फोर्स, बट इस पर भी तो फोर्स लगा है, दैट मीन्स सेम फोर्स इस हैंड ने इस हैंड के ऊपर एक्ट किया है. ओके, सो वी विल कंक्लूड दैट एवरी एक्शन फोर्स हैव इक्वल एंड अपोजिट फोर्स, इक्वल एंड अपोजिट रिएक्शन फोर्स. ओके, सो एक्शन का मतलब हमने किसी ऑब्जेक्ट को मूव किया, बट ऑब्जेक्ट भी तो फोर्स हम पर लगाएगा, अपोजिंग फोर्स, उसको हम बोलेंगे रिएक्टिंग फोर्स. और उसका जो मैग्नीट्यूड होगा वो बिल्कुल डायरेक्शन फोर्स के या डायरेक्टिंग फोर्स के सेम होगा या फिर एक्टिंग फोर्स के बराबर होगा. ओके, सो द थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन स्टेट्स दैट एवरी एक्शन फोर्स को हम ड्राइविंग फोर्स भी कहते हैं. ड्राइविंग फोर्स भी कैसे? सो एवरी एक्शन फोर्स और एवरी ड्राइविंग फोर्स हैव इक्वल एंड अपोजिट ड्राइविंग का जस्ट अपोज होता है अपोजिंग फोर्स और रिएक्शन फोर्स. ओके, सो दिस इज द थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन. नाउ वी विल अंडरस्टैंड द लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ मोमेंटम. Yesterday we had derived the equation for the momentum. What is momentum? Momentum is P equals to, it is the product of mass and acceleration. So it is mass and acceleration. Okay. So to understand the conservation of momentum, we had to understand one example first. Suppose we have an object A. We have an object A, its mass is m1 and its acceleration is a1. Acceleration is a1. If we will apply force by this object A to another object called B, which have mass m2 and acceleration a2. If both the objects they coming close to each other and they collide, means both the object will apply force on each other. So when they collide with each other, the force applied by A is F. ऑब्जेक्ट ए फोर्स अप्लाई करेगा एफ के ऊपर, एट द सेम टाइम बी विल ऑल्सो अप्लाई द फोर्स F2 ऑन ए. ऐसा होगा. अब जब दोनों एक दूसरे को क्या करेंगे, फोर्स अप्लाई करेंगे, तो फोर्स का मैग्नीट्यूड कैसा रहेगा. अभी जस्ट हमने न्यूटन्स के थर्ड लॉ में देखा था कि एवरी एक्शन फोर्स हैव इक्वल एंड अपोजिट रिएक्शन फोर्स. दैट मीन्स अकॉर्डिंग टू द थर्ड लॉ ऑफ न्यूटन, according to the third law of Newton. Third law of Newton. Every action force or acting force have equal and opposite reaction force. So here we have to consider few things. Let object A with mass m1 and acceleration a1 collides with object B with mass m2, m is small, m2 and acceleration a2. Then the force applied by both the object is equal but in opposite magnitude. So according to the third law of Newton, we can say F is F1, that is the force applied by object A, is equals to F2. That means force applied by the another object, but one of the object the force will be negative, because the negative sign represents the reaction force. Its force is acting force and this force is reaction force. So their magnitude is different. They have equal values but the magnitude is different. Okay. Since we have F equals to m into A. What is F? F is the force and m is the mass and A is acceleration. So we have to put both the values F1 and F2 in the form of ma. So instead of Fa we can write m1 into a1. It is the momentum of first object, equals to negative m2 into a2. A is acceleration and m is mass of the both object, m1 and m2. Now we know, since A, what is A? It is acceleration. What is acceleration? It is the rate of change in velocity. So rate of change in velocity means final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. So this value we have to place here. Okay, so for a1 we can write v1 minus u1 divided by t. T is the same for both the object, that means t1 and t2 we are no need to write, that means just we have to write t only. So for another object acceleration will be a2, so a2 will be v2 minus u2 divided by t. So both the values of a1 and a2 we have to place here. So what we will get now? So we have m1 into a1. What is a1? It is v1 minus u1 divided by t equals to we have m2 negative m2 into what is a2? a2 is v2 minus u2 divided by t. See, t and t, they are in opposite side and in denominator form, so they will cancel each other. So if we will multiply this m to inside the bracket, what we will get? m1 into v1 minus m1 into u1 equals to the same thing we have to do here only. So minus you have to write outside the bracket, then we will multiply this. So m2 into v2 minus m2 into u2. If we will open the bracket, we will get m1 v1 minus m1 u1 equals to, this will become minus m2 v2 minus plus m2 u2. So if we will transfer this to this side, it is in negative magnitude, will come in positive. So we can write m2 v2 plus m1 v1 equals to, here we have m2 u2 plus, see we are transferring this to another side, it will become m1 u1. Okay, or we can write m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. So what is m1 v1? It is the initial velocity of object, and it is the final velocity, or we can say momentum. It is the initial momentum and it is the final momentum. What is it? It is the final momentum of object A. What is it? This is the final momentum of object B. The final momentum of object B. This one is initial momentum of object A. What is it? It is the initial momentum of object B. So can we say total final momentum is equals to total initial momentum? So I am going to erase this one. You have to write this portion on your top of the derivation. Okay, so I am going to erase this one. So according to the equation, what is equation? It is m1 v1 equal plus m2 v2 equals to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. What is it? It is the total, it is the final momentum of object A. It is the final momentum of object B. That means this is the total final momentum. This is the total final momentum of both the object. And what is it? It is the initial momentum of object A. It is the initial momentum of object B. That means this portion is the total initial momentum. So, according to this derivation, we can say total final momentum is always equals to total initial momentum. So, this is the law of conservation of momentum. जितना momentum collision के पहले था उतना ही momentum collision के बाद में रहेगा, है ना. Suppose हमने अभी जो object लिया था, object A with going to collide with object B. So the momentum before collision and after collision will be the same. Okay, so this is all about the law of conservation of momentum. So अगर आपको लिखना है, you can write or you can take a screenshot also. So now we have to understand the recoil. What is recoil now? So recoil is, this is the gun. Okay, this is the gun. Here bullets are getting feed. यहाँ पर जो bullets है वो क्या होती है? Feed होती है. When a policeman fires the bullet from the gun, then bullet rush out from here. Bullet rushed out from here only. Okay, so this is the position of bullet. This is the position of bullet. When we are triggering, trigger दबाते ना, so where we are triggering, this bullet is rushed out from the bullet and it moves some distance. Okay, so when the bullet comes out from the gun slightly moves backward. Why? Because at initial condition, the total momentum of the bullet as well as gun is 0. That means when bullet comes out from the gun, its initial momentum is 0. Therefore m1u1 plus m2u2 equals to 0. Okay, so if we will compare this equation to this equation, we can write m1v1 plus m2v2 equals to 0. So this is 0. That means instead of this we have to place 0 over here. So let this is the equation number 1, or we can write by the law of conservation of momentum. We can write m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. Since this portion is 0, since m1 u1 plus m2 u2 equals to 0, therefore our equation will become m1 v1 plus m2 v2 equals to 0. So now how long or what will be the velocity or mass of the gun or bullet? If we want to calculate, then we can calculate from here only. So suppose we had to calculate the value of mass of the bullet or mass of the gun or any, we can transfer this to another side. So we can write m1 v1 equals to negative m2 v2. So if you want to calculate the value of mass of the gun or velocity of the gun or for bullet, you can transfer any of them and you can calculate one of the variable from the 4. You have to have the value of 3 any variables you can calculate and the 4th variable's value. So we can write m2 equals to negative m2 into v2 divided by v1. Or if we will transfer this to another side, there are many formulas we can derive from there. We can write also m2 equals to negative m1 v1 divided by v2. Okay, so this is m1. So this is for the gun and this is for the bullet. So what is recoil now? So when the bullet is going to fire from the gun, then the gun experience backward motion. That backward motion of the gun when bullet is firing is called as recoil. R-E-C-O-I-L. So what is recoil? When bullet is going to fire from the gun, then that time bullet experience the backward motion. That backward motion of the gun is called as recoil. Okay, so I hope आपको recoil समझ में आ गया होगा. क्या है recoil? जब हमने गन से बुलेट को फायर किया, सो जो गन है वो बैकवर्ड मोशन को एक्सपीरियंस करता है. दैट बैकवर्ड मोशन ऑफ द गन इज कॉल्ड एज recoil. So here our first lesson, that is motion, complete होता है. अब हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो स्टार्ट करेंगे नेक्स्ट चैप्टर के साथ. सो अगर आपको इस चैप्टर में कहीं कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज़ मुझे कॉल कीजिए बिटवीन 4 to 6 PM इन द इवनिंग, और मेरा नंबर है 9730305883. यू कैन कॉल मी बिटवीन 4 to 6 o'clock. ओके, सो समझ में नहीं आता, सो कीप रिपीटिंग द वीडियोस. सो तब तक के लिए बाय.